Hello, I'm Victor and this is The Junkyard. You may remember a while back I did a list video about the reasons I quit comics. Well, today I'm going to be reviewing an actual 4-part comic, JSA Classified issues 1 through 4, Power Trip. I will, at the end of the review, connect this back to that list, but in the meantime, enjoy.
Now this comic is all about Power Girl, so I'll give some background on the character. See, a while back, DC Comics established the idea of an Earth 1 and an Earth 2. Earth 2 had all the original superheroes from the World War II era and their offspring, and Earth 1 had all the modern heroes, their superheroic age starting around 20-some years later than Earth 2's. Well, in the 80s they decided to smush these two universes together in an event called Crisis on Infinite Earths. Since the Earth 1 and 2 superheroes generally occupied different eras, the combining went pretty smoothly. That is, except for in the case of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. See, where guys like Green Lantern and the Flash had distinctly Golden Age and modern counterparts, the big three did not. So instead of having a Golden Age Superman and a modern Superman, they just kept the modern one. Unfortunately, all three of those Earth 2 heroes had spawned Next Generation heroes. Batman had Huntress, Wonder Woman had Fury, and Superman had, by virtue of her being his cousin, Power Girl.
And after all that, we come to the main issue. There was no place in the new continuity for these heroes, and the writers had to figure out what to do with them. Huntress was killed off, Fury was ignored, and Power Girl? They didn't know what to do with Power Girl.
They tried to rewrite her with some sort of Atlantean sorcery origin, which never really worked, and in the end it's just become one of DC's big mysteries. Who is Power Girl? Well, that's a question these 4 issues were expected to go into before they came out. So let's not delay any further. Issue 1. It starts with a familiar story. Baby, rocket, exploding planet, crashes on Earth. Adult Power Girl is greeted by Superman. Power Girl, cousin of Superman, becomes a respected part of the superhero community. End flashback. Power Girl is being tested by Dr. Midnight, the Justice Society's resident doctor who is actually a doctor. From the two of them we learn about the two main ideas we have on Power Girl's origins. A Kryptonian sent to Earth, or an Atlantean sent to the present. We also learn that her powers have been fluctuating lately. She tries to brush off these uncertainties, but through her narration we find that she feels alone and lost. She has no life or family outside of the Justice Society, and she can't even trust her own powers. Her introspection is interrupted by a window cleaner falling off a cherry picker, who she is able to see from 50 blocks away and rescue before he hits the ground, neither of which she could do at her normal power level.
By the way, that reminds me. You know how Lex Luthor will sometimes try to justify his vendetta against Superman by claiming that he's holding humanity back? This scene is a pretty good argument. You know, window washers are always almost dying, falling out of cherry pickers in the DC universe. But, you know, why bother making quality safety equipment in a world full of superheroes?
This is your captain speaking. Looks like one of the wings fell off again. We're within about 1,000 miles of New York, though, so someone should be here to catch us before we hit the water. Either way, please buckle your seatbelts for final approach. Enough of that. Anyway, with the civilian safe and finished ogling her, Power Girl is attacked by Garn Danuth, the evil sorcerer she was apparently sent to the future to escape, according to her already debunked Atlantean origin story. They get into a prolonged fight, and just as she has him pinned down, the rest of the Justice Society are there, and Garn suddenly is not. Eyewitnesses saw her fighting nothing. She's confused, they suggest she undergo some more tests, she tells them she doesn't want to know who she is, and flies off. Issue 1 ends with a shadowed figure on a stage talking about fixing PG, and materializing fake Legion of Superhero members. Rather than spend another 2 minutes on their backstory, I'll just say they're superheroes from the future.
Anyway, this is a pretty good first comic. It establishes the characters as sympathetic and practical, it establishes the conflict. Pretty solid. And I do like the artwork, not just because there are boobies on every page.
Power Girl is meant to be a sexy character, but this story is supposed to treat her as a complex person. The art manages humanity, humor, and sexiness, shifting emphasis from one to the other when needed, without losing any aspect entirely.
This will remain for the rest of the storyline. Now on to issue 2.
It starts with special agents rifling through Power Girl's rocket, the one she supposedly came to Earth in, according to her debunked Kryptonian origin. Looks like they want to know just who the hell she's supposed to be, too.
You may be wondering who that skeleton guy was. It's really not important. He's a failed supervillain, failed superhero, successful government agent. His flesh is invisible and poisonous. I don't know why. Moving on.
Power Girl is moping atop the Daily Planet, where she's interrupted by Jimmy Olsen on a lunch break. They talk for a while when they're interrupted by the bogus Legionnaires from the last issue. They claim that she's their lost member Andromeda and urge her to go back with them to the 31st century. As she tries to get her bearings, a nearby plane's engines explode and she flies out to save it.
No, this is what I'm saying. If you keep doing this, they'll never learn.
Anyway, the Legion try to stop her, claiming that they've already changed the past too much. Things escalate, more confusing memories are thrown at her, and in the end, Superman and Supergirl end up saving the plane. Again, according to everyone else, both the Legion and even Jimmy were not there. Power Girl and Superman have a heart-to-heart where she finally explains her costume. People always ask me why I have this hole right here. They think I'm showing off or just being lewd. But the first time I made this costume, I wanted to have a symbol like you. I couldn't think of anything. I thought eventually I'd figure it out and close the hole. But I haven't. I'm sorry, but to fully explain why I'm laughing at a woman crying her eyes out and bearing her soul to a loved one, I need to put this jarringly into perspective.
I don't know who I am. Am I casual, business, sporty, goth, punk? In the end, I just didn't know what to wear. And that, officer, is why I went to the library naked.
Don't worry, I won't do that again. Anyway, we cut back to the shadowy figure preparing to make his final move. On the last page we see the Psycho Pirate.
Anyway, that was issue 2. No real progress. I mean, PG is still being messed with. We do discover that it's Psycho Pirate doing the messing, and we figure out why she wears her secondary sexual organs as insignia, but no real progress. I really hope that the next issue picks up.
Sorry, but no. PG goes to try and make friends with the Huntress, though she can't say why. The reader already knows that, back before all the confusion, she and Earth 2 Huntress were best buds, but it's never completely revealed in this series. Then, after cutting to the JSA and Psycho Pirate having a pointless scuffle, Power Girl is suddenly confronted by the Crime Syndicate, another dimensional evil Justice League, claiming that she's their version of Supergirl. They're interrupted by the future Titans, claiming she's their daughter, and soon she's being overwhelmed by a dozen characters claiming to be part of her true identity. She falls unconscious, and wakes up to find herself strapped to her rocket with Psycho Pirate leering over her.
Well, the plot has progressed, but only in the last few pages. I thought the scene where she's being overwhelmed by her possible origins was really good, kind of mixing despair and humor in a way that's really difficult. But they could have put that in the end of the last book and skipped all this Huntress stuff altogether. I hope it picks up in the next issue.
Issue 4. After some creepy innuendo, Psycho Pirate goes ahead and tells Power Girl what we already knew. She comes from a parallel Earth that doesn't exist anymore, and the new universe has no real place for her.
Yeah, this is the writer saying, we got nothing. Admittedly, it was probably better this than yet another made-up origin story, which would have just ended up sounding as fake as the other ones. But 4 issues is a long way to go for this realization. I mean, I don't know if I'm asking too much, but I really didn't pay $10 collectively for a cop-out.
Well, then they fight for a while, they fight some more, and then he just dissolves away, leaving her to contemplate this new revelation. She goes to cry to Ma Hunkel, then stops off at her apartment just in time to get attacked by Clayface. What happens next? Find out in Infinite Crisis Issue 2.
Okay, first of all, a cliffhanger courtesy of Clayface? Look, Clayface is a pretty menacing villain. To Robin. But to someone at Superman's power level, that's not very threatening.
Secondly, this whole storyline was just a setup for some of the events of the Infinite Crisis crossover? God damn it! This is ridiculous. I paid $10 for a footnote.
Look, this was a fairly well-written comic with some good artwork, but it was pointless. Power Girl gets kicked around a while, we learn what we already knew, and we get a tie-in ending in favor of closure.
As I understand it, Power Girl now has her own series, with a lot of the same creative team this comic had behind it. If it is allowed to have some goddamn stories, I imagine it could be quite good. But this comic, it was a disappointment. Oh, and for the record, let's quickly list off this comic's infractions according to my Why I Quit Comics list. Reason 1, expense. As I said, $10 for no story. Reason 2, cheesecake covers. Reason 6, multi-issue stories. Reason 7, crossover events. As for Reason 8, it didn't feature Superboy Prime, but it did lead directly into the comic that introduced him, so I'm still counting it.
In any case, this has been Victor with The Junkyard. Thanks for watching and have a good day. You know, having finally finished this review, I think I can safely say that I am desensitized to cartoon breasts.